welcome in this morning. We have a guest this morning, and his name is Michael Shane Wilcher. He is with us. He is running for the state senate. He's running against Janice Bowden, and I think that was District 16, you said?
That's correct.
And so we're going to be talking with Michael. Michael, tell us a little bit about your family and your background.
Well, my background is I'm from Warren County. I'm 44 years old. I was born and raised in Warren County. I've been there all my life. I'm a tool and die maker. I work in the machine industry. We make plastic injection molds. I've been in that industry for almost 20 years now. In Warren County, I'm employed in a small family-owned business, not my own family, but a small family-owned business. And I think what I tell people is the reason I'm in politics is basically because a few years ago I wasn't being served by my elected officials the way that I felt like I should be. And I felt like they had failed me on several occasions, and I had brought issues up to them and stuff. And I was one of those people, like a lot of us, who gripe and say I would do it differently. You know, but a lot of us never get to the point where we've had enough and we actually do something about it. Well, I got to that point, and at that point, it was about time for county commission races. So I ran a campaign for county commissioner, and I won in my district, which we have 24 county commissioners, and I don't know how many people are familiar with county commissioners, but some counties have 12, some have 24, they're different numbers, but we have 24, and there's 2 per district. So I ran for county commissioner in my district, and I won. And I actually beat out 2 incumbents. One had served about 16 years, and the other one served 24 years in the same office in Warren County, Tennessee. So, of course, second place got to seat with me as well. So there's 2 county commissioners, and that's kind of where I got my start. My brother Blaine Wilcher, he was the first Republican ever elected in Warren County, Tennessee politics, and that's in 200 years history of Warren County. And my brother was the first, and that was only 6 years ago. So that's kind of, I don't say a lot of personal stuff. I'm a father. I have a couple daughters. One actually turned 16 tomorrow, but I try not to pull a lot of my personal life into politics, because to me it's just serving the people. I think if you look too closely at the person, you'll find flaws in anyone. And what I try to do is I try to learn from the mistakes I've made in the past, and I try to do better each day. And it doesn't mean that I'm a good example as a person or in my personal life, but it means this part of my life, this representing you, I can do this better, and I mean to do that better. So that's a little bit about me.
Well, what about your educational background?
Okay, my educational background, of course, high school in Warren County, Tennessee. I went to Chattanooga State for 1 year, and after that I came back to Warren County, Tennessee, and I actually went into the nursing program at Motlow State here in Tullahoma, over in Tullahoma. And I was in that nursing program for a year, and after a year I figured out, at least by the second semester, that nursing wasn't for me. Although I could do it academically and physically and probably mentally. I mean, the book work and the mechanics of it I could handle. But I learned fairly quickly, especially when we served time at the elderly folks home, that it's just like any other job. You have to be equipped in a certain way, and nurses are one of those professions that you've got to be able to give of yourself every day in an emotional way, and maybe never see a payoff. And I think that didn't feed me as a person. And my father's been a lifelong mechanic, and I think I inherited a lot of his mechanical inclinations. So really I just kind of fell into the tool and die industry, and it was a real blessing how that happened, and I love it. I do love making things with my hands. I like to be able to make something and see that. Where nursing is a very emotional, a very draining thing. And kudos to the people that are nurses, because I can kind of understand what you go through, what you do every day, how you give, and you often don't have a payback. So my education from there, after I spent a year in the nursing program at Montlow, I continued for like a year and a half, 2 years. I just kind of floundered in college. I did get a 2-year degree in psychology, but other than that, once I got that 2-year degree, I went into tool and die work, and that's what I've been into almost 20 years now.
Okay. No question, and I think you answered part of it a few moments ago, but you're going to run against an incumbent in Ms. Bowen.
Yes.
What areas do you differ that really made you decide I can do that?
Well, and I, you know, the thing is, a lot of times when you take a job on, you may not know every aspect of that job, and I like to admit to people, hey, I don't know every aspect of being a state senator. You know, who goes into representing the people and knows every aspect of what that's going to entail? I surely didn't know what all being a county commissioner would ask of me. But when you're a citizen servant, you learn. And you learn from the people. And the thing is about being a representative of the people, they tell you what to do. Okay, so you just have to be ready to listen to them. And although you may have different viewpoints, it's up to you to listen to all viewpoints and decide what's best for the people. Or just flatly do exactly what they say. And as far as Janice Bowen goes, I've told people, you know, come November, if I'm not in the race, she'll have my vote. Okay? I think she's done a pretty good job. There's areas that I differ with her, but they're very few. And I'll tell you exactly the one issue that really made me decide to run for this. Before I was even sworn in as a county commissioner in Warren County, about a week before I was sworn in, a Coffee County family, the Gerald family, approached me. And they asked me if I would help them get information out about their land being taken in Coffee County. And we all know what, I think we can all know what eminent domain is. Eminent domain is the legal taking of private property by the government or government entities for the benefit of the people or for the safety of the people. Okay? Now, there was a family, the Gerald family in Coffee County. They owned property called Flat Mountain. And I didn't know these people. And they approached me. I think they approached me because they had seen how I run a campaign in Warren County, basically saying, I'm going to do what's right, and I don't care who I'm going up against, as long as I do right. But they approached me and they asked me, would you help us get our story out? I didn't know their story, but I said, I'll do what I can. So I got to know them, I got to know their problem, I got to know the case that was going on. And what had happened was a Warren County utility, that's my own county, a Warren County utility had stepped over into Coffee County, which they already served some areas in Coffee County. But what this Warren County utility was doing was they wanted a part of the Gerald's property to put a water tank on. Sounds like it could be a benefit to people. But what was unique about this was that the land they were taking was outside of the utility's service area. Okay? The Warren County utility did not serve the area they were taking land from. Actually, Hillsvale utility served that area. At the same time, Janice Bowen and Judd Matheny both had a bill in the state that would have kept this exact thing from happening. Now, that bill didn't get passed, it didn't get looked at properly, and the session ended with it being tabled. Now, Janice and Judd say they will bring it back up, and I truly trust that they will, because this issue will get bigger. But I had a real problem with Janice not coming down on the local level and fighting. You know, my thing is, I actually did try to bring a resolution to the Warren County Commission simply denouncing that action of a Warren County utility. I didn't get one other vote, which is possibly unusual because I have a brother who's a county commissioner. So I presented a resolution denouncing a Warren County utility taking land in Coffee County, and I didn't get one other vote from a county commissioner in my own county. And I just thought, that's so sad. We can't be better neighbors than that. But beyond that, the night that that resolution came up in Coffee County to denounce the actions of that Warren County utility, I was there. And I'd made it known to the family, I'm here to speak or do whatever I can to support this so that Coffee County denounces it. Maybe worse than not having one of my own in my own county standing with me was that Janice Bowley, a Coffee County native from my understanding, was not there at that Coffee County Commission meeting to show her support to denounce that action. I was there. I was there for the vote, and I felt it was important to stand with the family. So, again, I agree with Janice on many, many things, but I like to tell people, if you hire me as your senator, not only will I fight for you at the state level, but I'll come back down to the local level. If I'm fighting something at the state level that benefits my county, or that my county is actually dealing with on an intimate level, like that eminent domain misuse or overreach, I'll come back down and I'll make my voice known to the local politicians that, guys, I need your support on this. This is just wrong to take land that doesn't belong to you without justification by the legal term or definition of eminent domain. So that's my thing. I felt like that, because of the way that I had been misserved as a citizen, it felt like that Coffee County was getting misserved by their own representative. So, and I think she does a lot of good things, I think, but that's my main issue with how Janice has handled at least the last couple years. You know, if you hire me as your senator, I will come on the local level and I'll make sure your voice is heard on the local level, not just the state level. So that's kind of what I've got.
All right. Let's just ask, you get elected.
Yes, sir.
What would you look to do as far as bills to help all your areas?
Well, as far as bills go, of course, I would love to partner with Joe Matheny on the eminent domain thing that he and Janice had before. As far as economic development and stuff like that, that would be stuff that I would have to research and learn when I get into office. You know, but it's not impossible. You've got to remember that this system was built on citizens serving, okay? And it's part of serving that you learn the ropes. You know, I could say all the things like, oh, I'm gonna support bills to build better infrastructure or repair our infrastructure. I could talk about, you know, bringing broadband. I know Janice hits broadband a lot. Bringing broadband to all parts of Tennessee. We could talk about, you know, bills that would make us more physically conservative, which we do a good job financially here in Tennessee. But I think we're lacking in a lot of other areas, like I think we need to have some judicial reform here in Tennessee, holding judges and attorneys more accountable. And I would have to figure out how to work in the role of a senator to bring about some of that change, because we all know we've got corruption in government, we've got corruption in the judicial system, stuff like that. It's up to the citizen servants to figure out how to attack that stuff and get people on board with changing it, you know. But I tell people, you know, I can talk about all the things, healthcare, I can talk about all the things you hear about all the time. But at the end of the day, when I go to the state, I want to remain more like you. I'm just one of those people that, like you, I got tired of the system. It's a good old boys system. The same people get voted in. They do the same thing every 4 years. They tell you the same thing. Every 2 years they may tell you the same thing if they're a representative. Some are good, some don't hold true to their word. And but I can break all that down into the eminent domain issue, because I tell people, if you don't have if you can't protect your own property and you have the government coming and taking your property and they don't even obey their own laws in taking your property, you've got nothing. We can argue about abortion. We can argue about immigration and a big fence. We can argue about deficits. We can do all that, and we can have those conversations, and they're worth having. But if you are not safe from government and government entities coming and taking your property, you've got nothing. Without private property rights here in America, you have nothing. The whole system fails. There's no reason to talk about anything else if you are not safe in your own property, or you cannot be assured of keeping your own property. So again, I tell people, I'm a novice. I've been in the political arena for 2 years. I'm not the brightest. I'm not the best looking. I'm not the smoothest. But it doesn't take a genius to listen to the people and stand up for the people. And that's what I'll do, you know. And I appreciate that Janice has these meetings that she comes to. She has meetings that she comes to in Warren County, and she listens to the people at about 1 o'clock. It's like every third Thursday or something of the month. Well, that's nice. I work a regular job. You know, some people wonder, you know, I should be at work right now. I've actually taken vacation time just to come up here and do this interview because it's important to me. Do I believe I win? I really don't believe I win. But I'm giving the people a choice. And I want to give the people at least a point to start a conversation. Because in America, you and I, people like you and I, we don't run the country. People like wealthy business owners, retired people, and lawyers. That's who runs our country. Why? Because people like myself, we can't buy into the system. Okay? I don't have the money to start a campaign. Janice Bowen spent almost $200,000 4 years ago to get a $21,000 a year job. I can't do that. You know, I work every day for a paycheck, and you need somebody in office who still has skin in the game. Okay? Their decisions today affect their paycheck next week. That's who you need in office. Someone who's more like most of us. Okay? And that's why I'm running, and I tell people I've got a snowball's chance. Most everybody understands that, but I enjoy talking to the people and I enjoy getting the message out. And at the end of the day, win or lose, I still get to represent somebody somewhere.
Well, let me ask you a question. We had Representative Dunlap on yesterday.
Yes.
I'm sure you know him.
Yes.
Two things that, well, one thing he talked about, one thing I need to bring up because of time. The state last year spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the testing system that this time. And I asked him the question, are we going to get our money back? And he replied, that's what's coming up in this next section. We're going to try to get the money back. Tie that to education. A lot of counties are screaming, we want an elected director of schools versus an appointed.
Yes.
Would you work to get the money back from that company that flopped so badly? And would you work to get a bill that, yes, we get elected school officials?
Well, let me address the money issue first. My understanding is, I think originally, and some of my numbers may be off, I think originally we were going to pay some company $22 million, somewhere around there, to grade a test from years ago whose data points probably no longer are even valid. And here's the thing, we've moved away from that system. Why are we spending any money to grade a test that is not going to benefit us? Okay? Because the data from that test is probably outdated by now. And we're moving away from that system. Why are we dumping more money into grading a test that more than likely we're not going to care about the results because we're moving away from that system? You know, from my understanding, we went from going to pay a company $22 million to grade a test from years ago that the data points are no longer going to be useful to us, to spending $19 million. a savings of $3 million. Why even spend the 19? It blows my mind, okay? And I'm sure I don't understand all the logistics or all the details. Kevin's an educator. He understands that stuff, and he's backed by the education committee or they fund him. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. But at the end of the day, why do we throw money into this if we're not bound to? Why are we going to grade this test when we've moved away from that? So it just blows my mind, and I think it shows the system. You know, it's like, give us a pat on the back because we're saving $3,000 over what we were originally going to spend. We don't need to spend it. We know it's a failed system. So I have a problem with that, and I would fight. I don't really know exactly what I could do, but I know I could make a stink. And I'm pretty good at standing up for the people, and I'm pretty good about making a stink and not caring what I look like. Because it's not about me at the end of the day, it's about me doing what's right for the people. And I don't mind looking like a fool, and I don't mind people making fun of me when I stand up for the people, and I can do that. So that's something I can do. Now, the appointment of an education, what I believe fully, it should be an elected thing, okay? And I'll tell you why I agree with that. And it actually goes back to another gripe of mine with Tennessee. You know, we have judges in Tennessee, and every few years when we go to the ballot box, we don't vote to elect a judge. We vote to retain a judge. And to me, it's like you're dumbing down the process. You know, when they go to the ballot to vote for me as county commissioner, it's not a retention vote. It's vote for Shane Wilcher, or it's vote for somebody else. The retention vote of judges, I think needs to go away. They need to be elected. Now, I'm not saying I have the answer for how they get elected or who gets to pick them. I don't think a bunch of lawyers and their peers should get to pick them. I believe the people should. And I don't believe it should be a retention vote. That kind of ties in with the education thing, okay? When you have lifelong educators that are getting appointed by, there's just too much favoritism that can come into play. You know, it's like a conflict of interest. We have, in my county, we have people that stand up and go, well, we're about to vote on this issue. There may be a conflict of interest, but it is in no way going to affect my vote, and they vote. My thing is, if you have to mention that there might be a conflict of interest, don't vote. Don't vote. Because the public cannot be sure of your intentions. And that's what I intend to do. I think the first time that a conflict comes up with my vote, and I have to do what other county commissioners hardly ever do and say, I'm not going to vote. They always say, it won't affect my vote, I'm going to vote. Got a problem with that. So I've got a problem with appointments in certain areas. The education one would be one. The retention of judges would be another. So that's where I would be.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us today, Mike. We appreciate it. Good luck in the race.
Thank you very much for your time.
We're going to take a break and be right back.